developing the business model for your startup. There's going to be 3 learning objectives during this module. First, what is a business model? Second, what does scalability mean? And third, what is the essence of a great pitch? 15 years ago, investors expected startups to spend great amounts of time writing long business plans filled with forecasts that were unlikely to ever be true. Today, sophisticated investors expect startup founders to focus on developing a business model for their startup, ideally one that scales. A business model is the collection of assumptions that must be true in order for your startup to generate a consistent profit. These assumptions include a precise description of the customers you will engage, the problem you will solve for those customers, the features of the solution to that problem, the messages and channels you will use to connect to those customers, and the economics around what and how you will charge for your solution and what it will cost you to provide it. A scalable business model for your startup is one that not only enables the business to generate a profit, but one that is well suited to grow rapidly, and ideally become more profitable as the business becomes large. Rather than assuming that you have all the answers about your scalable business model from the start, you as a smart entrepreneur today begin with the idea that you have hypotheses that must be tested through actual interactions with customers. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what you can validate through hard data derived from actual customer interactions. The Lean Startup methodology, popularized by Steve Blank and Eric Ries, is one important way of going through this continuous process of experimentation and business model development. A lean startup approach to building your business pairs an iterative, experimental approach to developing an in-depth understanding of your customers and their needs and wants with a fast, flexible approach to building your product. The idea is that you build as little of your product as possible, test it with real customers, then make quick tweaks and changes to the product, and repeat. To communicate your scalable business model to potential investors and other audiences, you should maintain an up-to-date pitch or story you tell about your business. The physical manifestation of your pitch is a deck, usually 10 to 12 slides and no more, and as visual as you can make it. More important than the physical deck, though, is really developing a great story to tell. After all, there's going to be a lot of moments when you have the opportunity to pitch someone but won't happen to have your deck handy. Every great story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning is about setting the scene and introducing compelling characters to whom your audience can relate. The middle is about explaining a challenge that your main character faces. The end is about how your character resolves this problem in a satisfying way. Your pitch should unfold the same way. You need to start by explaining to investors who the user of your solution is. The more vivid a picture you can paint, the better. You then need to explain the incredibly frustrating or expensive problem that your user faces. A combination of anecdotes or case studies to make the problem seem real, with data to explain the size of the problem, is ideal. You need to end your pitch by showing how your solution solves this problem. And you scale your business into a really big, interesting market.
My name is Claude Grunitsky, and this is Creating a Business Plan. In this lesson, you will learn the value in creating a business plan and identify the primary elements needed to make it successful. Writing a business plan is not complicated, but you have to understand the fundamentals. If you have a great idea for an innovative venture and want to start a business based on that idea, you will need to do this exciting adventure. You will have to pitch investors and funders. Before they put up any money, they will ask you many questions about your idea, and you will need the answers. The business plan will help you formulate the responses that will satisfy their questions. But even before you go out and pitch your idea, the business plan will help you work out the potential issues and come up with solutions. This is important, whether you're working alone or leading a team. So what are the primary elements of a business plan? In clear and concise language, your business plan should explain your idea as well as its market potential. It should list the problems that you expect to encounter and how you intend to solve them. It should detail the risks associated with your venture and how you intend to reduce those risks. Your business plan should always begin with the sales demand side. For example, if your idea is to sell a new type of battery for mobile phones, you'll need to make assumptions and determine how many batteries you think you can sell in a given market in the first year, and then in the second, third, and fourth year. By the fifth year, perhaps you will expand into new markets and begin selling different types of batteries and associated services. Before you can claim that, you will need to do some research and find out the size of the current market for mobile phone batteries. Are there any problems with the batteries currently being sold in the marketplace? If so, you need to list those problems and explain why your battery is better. Is it because your battery lasts longer, is cheaper, or is solar powered, for instance? In your business plan, you will also need to estimate how much your battery will cost to produce and how much you can sell it for. Your battery can be cheaper than existing batteries, or it can be more expensive if you are convinced that your battery is better than what's on the market. The business plan will help determine how much capital you need to raise in order to get started and grow your business in the first few years. Once you've explained the sales demand side, the business plan needs to also list the use of funds. This list should cover how much is needed for research, for salaries, manufacturing, marketing, distribution, and everything else you will need for the company to grow and become profitable. What makes a successful business plan? Business plans are incredibly useful because they allow you, your team members, and your investors to determine whether you're on the right track. If your market and pricing assumptions are valid, the business plan will help you affirm your business opportunity. The reason most successful entrepreneurs go through the process of business planning is because it allows them to step back and think through the important issues associated with an abstract or unproven idea. Having thought through these important issues, the entrepreneur is in a better position to persuade new team members, investors, and other stakeholders of the value of that idea. The best business plans demonstrate that the founding entrepreneur has a great idea, has identified an innovation, and has a passion for that new product or service. Because the plan forces the entrepreneur to put the business under scrutiny, investors will be reassured that the entrepreneur has done his or her homework, has assessed the risks, and laid down a sequence of decisions geared towards establishing a growing market share. Of course, entrepreneurs should know that things don't always go according to the business plan and that they should prepare for contingencies. By demonstrating potential demand and an ability to produce goods or deliver services at a profit, the budding entrepreneur will see the exercise of writing a business plan as a great way to show that there's a real opportunity and that he or she has a game plan to exploit it. My name is Claude Granitsky, and this is Identifying Your Markets. In this lesson, you will learn how to identify markets, how to research your idea, and how to determine your skill set. One of my professors gave me some great advice. He said, regardless of your business idea, the entrepreneur must ask him or herself, what is the single necessary and sufficient condition for a business? It is not a product, a technology, a customer need, a business plan, a vision, a strong team, investors, or competitive advantage. While all those things are important for a company to have, none of them is the right answer. The single necessary and sufficient condition for a business is a paying customer. the person who will pay your company money for its product or service. Knowing this, how does one identify a need and business opportunity? The business opportunity customers there are in your chosen market. Digging deeper, find out where they are geographically and how much they would be willing to spend on the product or service you intend to sell. However, just because you have a paying customer does not mean you have a profitable business. In order to have a profitable business, the entrepreneur will need to gain enough paying customers, spending enough money within a relatively short period of time so that the business does not run out of capital. These calculations are difficult and demand quite a bit of research. How do you go about researching your idea then? The goal is to launch a business based on an innovative product or service where no market currently exists. If your business idea is to sell batteries for mobile phones to residents of your home city, you will need to do the research based on what we call market segmentation. You will have to find potential future paying customers and ask them questions about the batteries in their mobile phones. Take advantage of the internet if you have access, or make connections by talking to friends and family. Get on the phone, or in the car, or walk the streets to pursue information and potential opportunities. Even if other companies might already be selling batteries, the objective is to make sure no one is selling batteries like yours. If your battery is not better, not cheaper, doesn't last longer, or more advanced than existing batteries, then there is no reason to start a new business selling batteries. However, if your battery is better than existing batteries, provided you've done the research to identify your target customer in order to estimate how much money they would be willing to spend on a better battery, you will attract lots of new paying customers. You will then have a high market share that you can use as a basis for future expansion. How do you determine what fits your own skill set? You've done all the research based on an approach that we call market segmentation. Now you are in a position to know your future paying customers. You have an idea of what they like and dislike about their mobile phone batteries, where they live, where they shop, what jobs they have, and their monthly income. You even have a good idea of how much they might be willing to spend on better batteries for their mobile phones. But in order to sell lots of batteries to your newly identified target market, you will need to make sure that target market is consistent with your values, your passions, goals, and aspirations as an entrepreneur. The ambitious entrepreneur becomes obsessed with the wants and needs of the paying customer, but he or she must be smart about the role they want to play in the business. If the entrepreneur is interested in the technology of making better batteries and good at receiving feedback on how to improve the battery, then he or she should focus on product development and let other people on the team concentrate on sales or marketing. If, on the other hand, the entrepreneur is good at explaining the benefits of the new battery and why customers should pay for them, then they should be in sales or marketing. It takes time and patience to convince new paying customers to buy your product. You will succeed if you know your market and your own personal skills. My name is Claude Granitsky, and this is Pitching Your Business Ideas for Investment. In this lesson, we will explore how to identify potential business partners, look at the key elements of a pitch, craft and deliver a pitch, and follow up. If you are serious about starting a new venture, you must demonstrate to potential business partners and investors that you are passionate about the idea and truly believe that the business can succeed. You must be willing to work hard on weekends and late into the night. You will show your investors that you can do what it takes to make your business thrive, knowing that profitability and growth will one day justify all the efforts. Although many businesses fail within the first year, many others succeed because their founders have drive and a great idea. They were able to rally a winning team and investors. How does an entrepreneur identify potential business partners? It is very important to choose business partners according to both skill set and personality. Explore your own skill sets. If you are passionate about technology and see yourself as more of an introvert, then you should choose business partners who are more extroverted. Partners who are willing to go out, meet customers, and engage in the marketplace. If you are not very organized, then it is crucial to add a business partner who is very detail-oriented and good at handling complex tasks, whether dealing with lawyers, accountants, or suppliers. It is also good to have at least one founding team member who knows how to handle investors and answer difficult financial questions. Still, for the business partnership to work well, you need more than just a balance in skill sets. You need to be relatively certain that your personalities will not clash. Too many businesses fail because of ego or personality mismatches. How can you find a good match in your business partners? By first getting to know your potential partner well. Make sure you have clearly assigned roles and responsibilities from the start. Set up a system that allows you to resolve differences amicably without fights or unnecessary arguments. Once the business plan is written, how does the entrepreneur craft a pitch? The pitch should be short, explaining the idea, the potential, and team members' expertise. The key is to convey why this business is worth investing in. The pitch should explain why the target customer is willing to pay for the product or service. It should explain what kind of value you will create for that customer. Once that value proposition is framed into numbers and full market potential quantified, the founding team should make 5-year sales and expense projections and come to the required investment amount. The objective of the pitch is to get an investor to commit capital to the business. What are the key elements of a pitch? A sophisticated investor will listen to your pitch and assess whether you understand the market and competition. In your pitch, you should focus on a single initial market and grow from there. If after your short pitch, the investor is convinced that there is something there, then you have succeeded in grabbing their attention and they will want to investigate further and review your full business plan. How to best deliver the pitch? It's really about getting to know the audience you are pitching to. If you're meeting one investor, then you will need to research them and know what kinds of companies he or she has invested in the past, and if they were successful. If, however, you are pitching to an audience of 12 people, you must first understand the decision-making process and figure out which audience members will have the greatest impact on the actual investment decision. Grab their attention and get them excited by showing them why your idea has the potential to change the market and lead to a consistently profitable business. How to follow up after the pitch? Don't be afraid to email them relentlessly. Walk them through your business plan. Remember, investors like persistent entrepreneurs, and everything you say will need to be backed up by numbers, research, and a plan. Don't be boring, and don't allow the investor to be distracted. Your job is to help them imagine what your company could one day become with their funding.